Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakattvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Kurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We were doing the what is Advaita from a scientist's perspective, and in the last talk we were talking about the ignorance and knowledge, and in the process of the talk the battery of the mic got over or something, so after 25 minutes the talk was silent, so you can see silent movie there. So we will cover again some part of that we discussed there and continue with our series. So we said the fundamental problem is ignorance. What ignorance? I do not know who I am. Why do you say I am ignorant? Because everybody says I am this. Because I cannot be this, but they don't have anything else to say. This is bigger and bigger only for different people. You know who I am? In India you hear a lot. I am the brother-in-law of that minister or that Italian lady or whatever. And so you are related to somebody, and therefore I am also great. And that's what I am. I am this is a fundamental problem. And this is a human problem because this is how people have been brought up and people pass on that knowledge. And they say they give a name to start with. I am so and so don't mean in terms of physically this much, mentally all those things, and any biodata you send it is only I am this. That means there is a fundamental problem there because I cannot be this, but I cannot say anything else. For transactions, I cannot say just I am. Again I have to say I am this only. So if you go to airport and say who are you? You cannot say I am and then stop there. So they will think we are crazy. So I am is the subject, and anything that you can qualify as an object, because objects only have qualifications, and subject cannot become an object, and object, therefore, what is the definition of subject? That which cannot be objectified. So there is no way I can say I am some kind of things to communicate. All I have to stop with I am. And that's what Bible, in fact, statement in Bible is, I am that I am. So that's people quote it and give lots of explanations. Vedanta says that's because you cannot define any other way. Not only God, Ishvara says I am that I am, you ought to also say only I am that I am only, because there is nothing much that really you are. Everything else is only qualifications of your body, mind and intellect. For transactional purposes that's okay, but absolute purpose that's not real though. If you understand it, then you can transact with the for transactions of Vyavaharika in the world. Just as in the drama, you are acting like a king there. There you don't say I am an actor. You have to say I am a king. And for transactional purpose, in the drama, you are a king. And you should act like a king, not like a beggar there. And if you lost the kingdom and became a beggar, then you act like a beggar only, not a king. So whatever role that you are taking, you play the role knowing very well you are playing the role, but you are an actor who is playing a role. You are different from the role, and the problems of the role belongs to the role and not to you. You don't carry home afterwards that whatever kings had problem, that was only the drama. You don't have those kingly problems, you have somebody else there. So all this have to be, you can play the game of life. Life becomes a game only if you know how to play. You are entering into the stage of drama of life, and without knowing what role it is, taking the role themselves as real, and you are acting and then crying because the roles have always a problems. If roles don't have any problems, then nobody will watch the show also. So king will have a problem. Everybody lives happily ever after. After marriage is over, that Indian movies, that is what they say. But really you don't know what happened after that anyway. So avidya is covering, because I do not know fundamentally who I am. Therefore, I am taking what I am not as I am. So there are two aspects involved. That is, one is I do not know, and the second one is I am taking what I am not as I am. Therefore, I am taking what I am not as I am. First one is called the avarana, covering my true nature. Since I do not know means the knowledge of who I am is covered by that ignorance. And when did that ignorance started? That I am part, I am existent consciousness and I cannot be this. When did that ignorance started? He says ignorance cannot start, because if ignorance starts, that means before the start of ignorance I was knowledgeable. A knowledgeable person cannot become ignorant. So once I know, that I will never become ignorant of that knowledge, because I know already. I may not remember it. Forgetful is different from not knowing it. I know it, but I don't recall right now. So you see a lot of people, I know him, but I don't know the recollection of rest of it, because you didn't give importance to that. So in fact, I have that problem. I don't remember a lot of things, but I remember Vedanta and I remember science also. Fundamental things, not the other things. Other things is only for convenient to understand something, but basic things remain with you, and that's what essentially, even in science also, the fundamental understanding will remain. But anyway, the avidya only covers. Then, since I don't know who I am projecting something other than what it is as I am. So I am this body, I am this intellect, I am this mind. I don't say I am your body. So you claim you are that body, I claim I am this body, because this intense identification with the body from the childhood on is developed to the degree that I am associated with this, and that is called the vikshepa. Vikshepa means projection, and the projection and the identification all are involved here. So I project this as though this is my body and this is mine. And in the case of in my case, the body, I didn't really make body, and I didn't really make the mind and intellect. The body and intellect as though made by somebody else, and I identify with that body as I am that body. So this is how one has to be careful here. Who made that body? We call it Ishvara. Because I didn't make the heart this side and heart that way. If I am making my heart and myself and all that, I may do separately or I may ruin also. Because a lot of things I don't do properly. So if you start doing every vessel and everything, you need to have a very, very good engineer in order to make sure that every system, every nerve and every tube and every blood vessel work properly and properly suited in proper position and same branching, all that you think, that's a very enormous engineering. And if I don't know anything, I can't even make a simple construction, and how am I going to build this body? And that too, it is a body that repairs itself. I don't have to some extent. And only when you do so much, then I have to run to doctor, and what's going to do? He gives some medicines, and the medicine has to be digested by the body and act according to the medicine. The capacity to act is also in the body, has to be ready to do using that extra and repair the body. So repairing is also possible only if the capacity to repair is a part of the body. Whatever medicine, nothing happens, that means the body is not able to repair it along with it. That's what happens if the body is misused, or if you take too much antibiotics, the next time antibiotic doesn't work. What does that mean? That means the body cannot use that anymore, and the germs are not able to kill those whatever we're using that, or they become insensitive to it. But whatever, important is that I am not a designer of the body. That comes later. But basically, directly I am not designer, but it is designed based on my needs. What do I need? Depending upon my vasanas. And vasanas dictate the type of body I need in order to exhaust those vasanas. And that's what is called total vasanas, called sanchita karma. I am bringing those are ready to germinate, or called prarabdha karma. I take a appropriate environment and the body, mind and intellect to exhaust those package of the prarabdha karma. So if I am having a wrong body and wrong this one, that's a prarabdha karma only, because I didn't decide, because it is what is required to exhaust those vasanas. So by committing, I don't like it, so I commit suicide, doesn't help, because again same karma will push you back again into some other one. So whatever you have to go through that, because it's a result of past actions that you cannot change now. You can do new actions to alter it. That's possible. So therefore, people come with the handicaps, but at the same time, they make determination to excel in spite of their handicaps. And you see a lot of the evidences in that case where what they didn't have it, but they made it still in spite of their defects, mental defects or physical defects or intellectual problems. They alter it by self-effort. And anyway, there are two aspects that we are discussing. One is the avarana and vikshepa. Ignorance, because fundamental ignorance. It's not ignorance of chemistry or physics or how to make some chow chow or pizza. Those are different ignorance. Transactional ignorance. And this is an absolute ignorance, because I don't know the absolute truth. I don't know myself, fundamental. That's what is called mula avidya, or fundamental avidya, fundamental ignorance. That's the first aspect. Because of avidya, I am taking myself what I am not, and as a result of it, because I am taking this body, my intellect, I perform an action because the body, my intellect is limited. I want to become unlimited. I want that, I want this. All that 9 yards come into picture, fundamentally starting with, I do not know who I am. And therefore I am taking the body, my intellect as I am, and the limitations of the body, intellect becomes my limitations. These are all involved in just fundamentally basic problem is I do not know who I am. If I start knowing who I am, then my attitude towards the rest of it will change. That's what a jnani is. That's why I don't go after, when I realize that I am not only existent consciousness which is limitless, then I am comfortable as I am without needing any this. So I don't run after, like a rat race is not there. He is essentially contented with what I am, and therefore there is no more, the vasanas will not be there anymore, because I don't associate myself, I am this body, this mind, intellect, because this body, mind, intellect came with the package of all the karmas and all that belonging to. So I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the body. All are involved. The next question, what is the sound came? The next question is essentially the projection of that vikshepa, projecting into that. Who projects it? How does this projection comes? And this is where the Advaita also comes with a vikshepa, and there the theories somewhat differ to some extent. And the difference is to the degree that the projection of the avidya is also called Maya. So Maya is we discussed Maya is the vehicle through which the Lord Ishvara projects the entire universe. So now we are having avidya and Maya, and then bringing Ishvara and the creation of the whole world. Now I am having ignorance. Avidya is locused at the mind. Mind doesn't have the knowledge. Who has avidya? It's the mind doesn't have it. Because when I say, I don't know, who is saying it? It's the mind is saying, I am using the mind only. So mind doesn't have that knowledge. So who needs the knowledge? The mind needs knowledge. Therefore, the instruction also is asking one to go to tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva vigached. It is instruction to the mind only. So you have to take your mind, and it's a mental process. It's a vritti jnanam. So you have to learn shastras using the mind, and the teacher teaches through words, and that forms the thoughts in your mind, and through the thought process you eliminate the avidya. This is true for any avidya. So if I don't know chemistry, go to a chemistry teacher. He will teach based on the shastram, chemistry shastram that he learned from his teacher or through books, and he teaches what's there in the books in the language that you can appreciate or I can appreciate. So through communication, through the words, and when it reaches it converts into a thought process in my mind, and it's called vritti jnanam. Vritti is a thought or a modification of the mind. So all knowledge is taking place via vritti jnanam. And this is true even for Vedanta also, because the scripture says that vijnanartham yesa gurum abhigached, and you have to listen to srotavyaha, mantavyaha, jasitavyaha. You have to listen to the scriptures for how long? For a prolonged length of time until it is crystal clear. Crystal clear means depending upon what background you had, you have to think completely clarified, and the vision is clear that now I know what it is. That knowledge has to be there, and that has to be done. How long? How long is as long depending upon your background. How long I have to learn chemistry to understand my quantum mechanics? If I am prepared already, my mind is already prepared, and if I already had the necessary prerequisites, then it's easy and I enter into the quantum mechanics class, it's easy for me to grasp. If I don't know anything about mechanics, and then I cannot go and sit there, I have to prepare the mind until I reach a stage where I can understand and appreciate that. This is true for any knowledge. And we also said you have to go to a teacher. We also said this is true even for science also. And we don't question at that time, why do I need a guru? The university insists that you need a guide to go to do your PhD. You have to select proper guide. If they don't have the proper guide to guide you, they will not take you, or they will ask you to go some other place where you have that. So that proper guide has to be provided. University insists that you should have, and you may learn faster than depending upon your capacity, and I'm sure the professor who took you also will be very happy if you are learning quite quickly. But the guidance is required even for objective sciences and for subjective, very subtle science like in Adhyatmika, where you don't believe in it, or you want to things that cannot be pointed, or this is chemistry or this is Atma, cannot show it. So you have to indicatory or lakshyartha. The Advaita Vedanta asks you to go look in the direction, and then you realize yourself what it is. So it points in the direction, and that is, where the moon is. I don't know what the moon is. See there in that branch, and look in between these two branches, and you continue on that direction. So I cannot bring the moon here and this is the moon, but guide you in the direction to see, and when you look in the direction, oh, now I see. So that same thing, now I understand, that has to come in as the teacher, as you contemplate in the direction pointed out by the Vedanta. So in the same way, it is a vritti jnanam, and the jnanam removes the ignorance part of it. This is true for Atma Jnanam. For chemistry ignorance, I go to a chemistry teacher, not a physics teacher. The physics teacher will not help me in learning chemistry. Same way, for ignorance of my own self, I have to approach a teacher who knows about the self. If he knows about his own self, and I don't want to know his self, I want to know myself, unless his self is same as myself. That's what Vedanta points out. He asks you to go to a teacher to learn about yourself, And you may ask, how does he know myself? He knows only himself. He knows not only himself but yourself also, because he knows Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Jamatmani. Krishna says, the self in me is the self in all. And that self that is in me is the universal self. That means it is all-pervading reality. So self in me is the self in all means what? It is the same self. So self, there is no plurality. That means it's a singularity. That means it's only one. Ekameva advitiyam. Therefore, has to be infinite. And that's all comes from the Vedantic teaching only. So that knowledge has to be gained from that. So it is a vritti jnanam, and all the understanding is I had to, through process, I had to learn it, and I had to learn through Atma Jnanam. I may having a PhD in all that, but I may be ignorant of my own self. All that knowledge is useless, only it's useful for transactional purposes, but not useful to get away from what I want. Ultimately what I want? To happiness. And how do I get happiness? You don't get happiness. You have to recognize you are already happy. That is the knowledge. So for that knowledge, you need only Atma Jnanam. And depending upon your preparation, the teaching itself is sufficient. And people like Nachiketas, he evolved in me as the teaching went on, he could see directly. So he doesn't have to go back and contemplate on it. But for those who have not prepared the mind properly, teaching may come in, you have prepared my mind sufficient enough to learn, but not sufficient enough to stand apart and recognize that you are indeed a pure Satchidananda Swarupam. Your mind is still, because of its past vasanas are still there, and therefore it is driving you back. I am this and I am not that. That habitual formation, even though you understood that. Same thing, we understand that there is no happiness in any sweet or any coffee, but at the same time we are running after coffee. So what is that understanding means? I understand intellectually that there is no happiness, but habitually, and the mind is used to that, getting that process of happiness and dependence on that, and that's a part of the sense enjoyment where it makes you slave to it. So it means unless I have a cup of coffee, I cannot be happy. However much Vedanta, even you tell me there is no happiness, I agree with you all, but still I need a cup of coffee. This is what called habits. So even though I understood that I am Satchidananda, I think I am mistaking myself, I am this and I want that. That goes on until I contemplate and withdraw from all this, the longing for, and turn the mind towards something higher and contemplate in the direction. That is essentially Nididhyasanam. Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha. This is a teaching by the Yajnavalkya to his wife Maitreyi. So his husband is teaching wife. So Gurudev used to say that's why Brihadaranyaka book is very big. It's not for that reason. The Maitreyi Brahman is only a small portion in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. But the point is that the husband obviously teaches with the care. So to his wife Maitreyi, that you have to listen to the scriptures, Srotavyaha, contemplate on the teaching Mantavyaha, and Nididhyasitavyaha. That's what kind of reflect on the teaching Mantavyaha and Nididhyasitavyaha. So we are covering, one is Avidya, and we are bringing in Maya. Maya is Ishvara Shakti. Now what is this relation between Maya and Avidya? That's what this is an Advaita concept where there are differences in opinions, and I'll present what the traditional opinion is and how I myself also a little bit differ, because from my rational intellect this sounds better to me. But anyway, you don't have to accept what I say. But avidya is locust in the inducial, because I don't know. So you ask do you know you are Brahman? Says, I don't know. So if you ask people who are attending, studying Vedanta and all that, or do you know you are Brahman now? They will say, I understand it, but I don't think I am. So this is a common understanding that I am not Brahman, I am not this yet, I am only this. So that the reflecting that avidya is locust in that. Suppose if avidya is universally same, then one person realizes, everybody should realize, obviously. So if wise man realizes, then everybody should have realized. No, only wise man, his disciples are not realized. That's why they are studying from him. So therefore, avidya is removed by individual effort. Therefore, the individual locust is in the individual level. This is a common observation. And when it says avidya is same as maya, then what does that mean? So I don't know who I am, therefore I am taking myself, I am this, and transacting in the world. That's what we know. You don't know who you are, and you are taking your body, mind, intellect as that you, and then transacting in the world. Well, it follows from your reference. Like that, every individual or every living being and takes their body, mind, intellect as them, as their self, and transacting in the world. So everyone has avidya, because they don't know who they are. Obviously, because the way they are acting, they don't know who they are. So in fact, the ignorant people are so many. So manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid vadati siddhaye. And there are thousands of people, very few people are really interested even to know who they are. That's what Krishna says. And even if they listen to this, they don't even make an effort to contemplate in the direction. And it's really a wonder. Krishna himself says, what a pity, because this is the greatest teaching. All other things they try to learn, and then they become professors in that, ignoring the basic teaching. That's what is required. Not that is also required for transactional purposes, but this is the essential knowledge. Very purpose of life itself is this, and if you ignore this and try to go after, then you cannot achieve anything. So I have avidya, you have avidya, everybody is avidya. Is there avidya divisible? And is there my avidya different from your avidya? It means I don't know ignorance. You say, yeah, I also don't know ignorance. Now, is there a difference in my ignorance of chemistry versus your ignorance of chemistry? There cannot be any division in the ignorances. It is ignorance of ignorance, period. I may not know certain things, but the avidya of that. But avidya itself cannot be. Avidya of may be different, because avidya of ignorance of something qualified. A chemistry, I have ignorance of chemistry, you have ignorance of physics. Like each one have ignorance of something. But in terms of pure ignorance, there is no separatedness. So in the prayer, the Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrutyurma amrutam gamaya. It says, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, lead me from ignorance to knowledge. That's what it says. Please, O Lord, please lead me from ignorance to the knowledge. So, who is asking? Ignorant fellow is asking, obviously. But he didn't specify in that statement what kind of ignorance he wants. Lead me from ignorance of chemistry to knowledge of chemistry. That can be said. Lead me from ignorance of Gaga Bobu to knowledge of Gaga Bobu, whatever Gaga Bobu is. So I need a particular education for me, but here is blank statement, please take me from, leading me from ignorance to knowledge. That means unqualified ignorance. That unqualified ignorance is nothing but Maya. So Maya is the total ignorance of all people put together constitutes the Maya. So I am ignorant of the basic things. You are ignorant of Mula Vidya. You don't know who we are. Other fellow who know who they are. So total ignorance of all people together constitutes the Maya. In the Maya also there are two aspects, Avarana and Vikshepa. Avarana means the ignorance of everything, that what happens in the deep sleep state. So this is where in the Panchadasi we are covering this, but question can be raised here because in the scripture talks about the Mandukya Upanishad talks about both the micro as well as macro in the same sloka. So you have to be very careful. That's why you have to approach a teacher to understand or unravel the scripture properly. So therefore, the knowledge, the ignorance of individual, when I go to deep sleep state, I do not know. That means ignorance is covering everything. I am covered by, I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, and I am not anything, no objectified entity. So it's a pure, the homogeneous ignorance of everything. So everything includes everything and everybody also. I don't know anybody there in the deep sleep state. So I don't see the world itself. I don't see you or he or not. Nobody is there. So ignorance of everything, and there is no difference of any kind. And what is infinite? Is it infinite ignorance? Is it finite ignorance? You can't even ask that questions. All those. It is pure ignorance in that state, and therefore the scripture is jumping from a individual to total, saying that at an individual level it is the ignorance of an individual and akanchana kamam kamayata, and he cannot see the swapnam, he cannot see the waking state. All that is discussed at the same time, which next also define Ishvara in the process also. Because the total avidya becomes a Maya Shakti, and the one Maya Shakti is the Shakti of the Lord Ishvara. So we have slowly shifting in the same sloka from avidya to Maya. So some of the Advaitins or even Shankara says avidya equal to Maya. So is that equal or not? We can say make subtle differences later, but that's what essentially part of the Advaitic doctrine here. Avidya, Maya are put together as in the deep sleep state. With that we stop, and since it's a subtle, we'll take slowly and unravel this. From my point I will understand, and also what the traditional view I'll try to tell, and how I will look at it also I will tell. You may not agree, but at least I will present it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.